Welcome back, everybody, to Trent on Track, the upper bracket first round. And we are about to go live with Walls versus Damp. We've had some computer issues. We've had typical LAN shenanigans, let's say. And we're all in the lobby now, which is some good news. I believe the other match is already underway. Actually, I'm not sure about that, but I assume so, because I don't think they had the computer issues. And we are very close to going live. We are warming up. Well, actually, we're in the pre-match warm-up, I should say, which is the warm-up before the warm-up. So you don't get cold before you're warming up.
Yeah, there's just too many warm-ups nowadays, isn't it?
In my day, we didn't have any warm-up.
Just go out there, have fun.
Yeah, straight into the match.
So we're doing picks and bans, which are currently on screen. We did give our semi-slight, half-cooked opinions on the picks and bans earlier. So it'll be interesting to see who goes for what.
Flower. I think it'll be Flower. It's always Flower.
Is Flower the most popular map, would you say?
From what I've seen.
Oh,
the other match is 5-5. That's exciting. This will be exciting too, though.
You have to
maybe
focus on our
not this particular pick, but
our stream, not their stream.
It's
Peak gets picked. Okay.
That's our first time seeing that today.
With Wildfire.
First time seeing that today. If Flower doesn't get picked now, I'll be very disappointed.
I can't wait for Flower not
surely.
to be picked.
There we go.
Now, I do believe you mentioned earlier that Peak does have the Ice 360, and I do believe Aggie did have problems with it.
I don't think this will be Perfect Blue because they banned it last week, but, yeah.
It's soccer. Yeah, okay. I thought so. I didn't decide as Perfect Blue.
The decider that we'll be going to, yes.
Yes. An interesting map pick. Definitely not what we expected anyway for the first two maps.
It wasn't unexpected because they both picked Flower, so they both feel confident on it. And that was their first picks. And Perfect Blue was the ban that we saw last week from Walls. So that was expected. Flower not being picked first makes sense. And then the others, I didn't know. So I don't think it's too unexpected. I see we are skipping maps now, and we are on to the first map, which will be Peak. And we went through it a little bit beforehand, but this is our first time seeing it on stream today. So I think this is heavily Walls favoured. Which makes sense as their pick, but...
I mean, looking at the times, Matt T time on this map is unknown. I do believe some shenanigans with offlining has been going on. But if we look towards PBs,
I really hope so.
Wizzy's obviously world record on this map with a 0.265, which is a time for sure. Acro's the closest in this lobby anyway is Acro's with a 0.5. I don't believe Acro's would offline, but he might do. Then Eggy with 51.042. I mean, the pace isn't in Damp's favour, I have to say. But with Matt T's time being unknown, it could throw a spanner in the works.
Or he hasn't played it.
Which would be so funny.
It would be mildly amusing for the first few rounds, and then it would be a bit like, why not? But it does look like he's played it. Although that being said, I can't remember who was spectating, but I saw everybody crash in front during the warm-up. So these maps are not easy. As we move into the first round, there is a potential no slide here at the start, but it doesn't affect anyone. Although that's a much better drift from both the Crows and Wizzy, and Matt is going quite wide at the start. Eggy's keeping up, however, and there's definitely the potential for mistakes. Speaking of, there's one from Matt in 4th place. He is now out of this round. Eggy has also made a huge mistake, so this should be a pedestrian 1-2 here for both Wizzy and the Crows, but I think we know enough about them to know that they probably would not safe this and will push as hard as they can. Look how close the Crows was there. Mistake from Wizzy, as if to prove the point. And then we're coming into the end. It's still not enough for the two behind to catch. And as long as they make the finish, which is easy for both of them, then that will be a ace in the first round here. And that is not the start that Damp wanted to see.
Although I do have to say, that is a PB for Matt T. So congratulations. I'm sure he'd be proud of that time. Moving on to the second round. No slides once again. It is quite a tricky turn to do that and get the drift right. I know when I did play it, I did get quite a few no slides. Moving on to this beam, again, very difficult at high speed. Wizzy just absolutely bombing forward with a 2.5 tenth lead. Going into the outside. All looks fine here. Eggy's actually right on Akros' tail, which is surprising to be fair. Maybe Eggy's found his form. Going into the ice 360. No crashes as Akros jumps to first ahead of Wizzy. And going into the final turn, Eggy does have to go to the safe finish. No, he doesn't. Akros,
big mistake from Akros. Wow.
And again.
Okay, that was just poor. There was no need for that. I don't really know how he made a mistake there. He had the speed, obviously. You can see from the respawn. He just... I don't know. It looked like he was trying to go riskier for a quicker time, which is silly. Speaking of silly, goodbye, Eggy.
Yeah. I mean, just, again, want to point out, Matt T, PB, 2 rounds in a row. Can he go for the trifecta?
I'd hope so, because I don't think he's going to be impressed with the 52-6. That being said, he has crashed, so I guess probably not. Now here's a question. Do you think Wizzy and Akros will make any mistakes up front?
Yes, I believe that these two, both of them, are in each other's ear chirping, saying, I'm going to win, no, I'm going to win. I mean, it's always nice to have some friendly competition, especially against your teammates.
I hope they've got actual competition rather than just friendly competition.
No, I meant between each other.
I know, but I'm saying they do have competition anyway in the match, hopefully.
Yeah, fair enough. As Matt T does not get the trifecta and goes for the safe finish.
50.6 is a very good time. That's almost the same as Akros' online PB. So, yeah, I just don't think Damp are going to have an answer to that. They do have a point, though, which is something.
It is something indeed. I don't see him winning a round here at the moment, especially looking at the pace from the past previous rounds. And I mean, Akros and Wizzy just look like they're pushing as Akros clips. And I mean, Damp can draw here. And I mean, you know, assuming there's no crashes on the Ice 360, which there isn't. So Wizzy looks to secure first place here as Eggy and Matt love to take second and third and bring it to an extra round.
I'm sure they'll be happy enough with this round, but it's definitely not going to be enough for this map. I'll put it that way. Mm-hmm. One thing to note, which is something which is kind of, you know, hard to say, but Wizzy has got such a pace advantage to everyone else that even if he makes a mistake, it might not even be enough for Matt and Eggy to catch up. Especially because they're not driving up to their pace anyway. There was still a second and a half behind there. So even though they got second and third, they did both make mistakes. So they really need, especially Eggy, to be keeping up throughout most of the map, at least close enough. So if a mistake comes from Wizzy, they can take advantage. Unfortunately, Eggy crashed, so he didn't manage to take advantage. And you can still see Wizzy is chasing down Matt here in third place. And in fact, he's going to overtake him. So even with that mistake, almost as if to prove my point, although he does make another huge one. So this round is all over the shop. And in fact, Matt has passed the Crows. This could be a round win for Looks Like Damp. And there might not be enough track left here for Crows to catch. He's got more speed. Matt nearly touches the edge, but he makes the finish. And that is a round win and a PB from Matt. And it's a whole round win for Looks Like Damp.
Yeah, I mean, once again, Matt T, PB. I just have to mention it. Eggy did clip the finish there, so there was actually a blind chance of Wizzy actually beating Eggy, but I think with Wizzy, touching twice, clipping twice, I think there was just no chance. But I mean, look at the pace of Acros and Wizzy here. They always just almost leave them in the dust when it comes to this part of the track. I mean, it's up to 3 attempts to Matt T now, and
it was a big mistake from Matt at the back, and he's much further behind now.
Yeah. I mean, Eggy's still in semi-contention, but unless there's 2 big crashes here, I don't see any way back for Damp here, and I do believe it'll be a Wolves win. Hopefully no Caster Curse in the final jump, and no.
The bias coming through there, hopefully no Caster's Curse.
Well, no, at the end of the day, I do want the players to finish well. I want them to have fun.
I want some drama.
Of course you do. You live for it.
I do. 4 points, though, from Damp. I'll tell you what. Could have been worse. It looked like it was going to be worse.
It could have been a lot worse. You are correct. Is that a result of Eggy and Matt absolutely causing upset? I don't think so. I think it was more of Acros and Wizzy maybe losing some concentration. Maybe. Okay, so on paper, Wizzy and Acros, it looks like they're just going to whitewash, right? And yes. Maybe it's a term of complacency. That they're like, oh, haha, it's okay, we've won, and in their mind, but then they get too complacent, don't play how they normally race, and next thing you know, they crashed, hit a wall, and so suddenly Damper took a few points.
I will say, it could be that, but I'm not 100% sure. And the reason for that is because, as I mentioned, generally Acros is quite a consistency player. At least that's how I see it in sort of my mind. Wizzy is a really fast player, but he will never save. He will always go for it, and he will try and get those fast times. And as a result, he does have a mistake in him, regardless of who he's playing. It obviously serves him well at the top level of competitions because it means he can keep pace with some of the fastest players in the game. But when it comes to things like this, he's much more likely to get upset, I think, than, potentially certain other players.
For sure. I mean, just looking at the PBs on this map as we go into the first round, Wizzy with a 56.8, Acros closest to him with a 57.0, Eggy with a 57.2, and Matt T with a 57.7. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about Matt T. Has he praxed? Has he put time into this map? These maps, I should say? Or
well, what I'll say is in the last map, if he hadn't ever played it, which is what you were kind of implying by that question, then he must be the greatest Trackmania player of all time to win a round against Wizzy and Acros having not played the map on one that they have trained. So I have a feeling it's more likely that it's just offline prac. And Wizzy is having to go down below here for the safe finish. Eggy touches. Wizzy still hasn't finished, and he just about does now. And if Eggy had managed to hold that ending together, he could have actually passed Wizzy on the line there and turned it from an ace to just a 2-1.
For sure. How do you see this map going? Nicely.
Maybe, yeah. 10 to 1 or 2, maybe.
Yeah.
Oh, there's a mistake from Acros and Wizzy.
And both.
Oh, will they be able to hold it? Will they be able to hold it together? That's the real question here. No, they will not.
I think there's your answer.
Yeah, Matt is still out in front though. On his apparent discovery, according to Jake of the map, will he be able to take out Acros? Absolutely not.
No, I mean, we got to give it to Matt T. Discovery run, and he's putting up a fight, so, props to the guy, really. As Wizzy and Acros just command their lead back off him as Matt T crashes, and Acros.
Oh, this could be a draw.
No.
In fact.
Oh, actually.
Just need to make the risky, and Eggy has made it. Will Matt make it? Matt will, so that is a drawn round.
Wow.
I just looked up Matt's statistic. Oh no.
What?
85% crash. 87% crash.
I mean,
And
like I said,
75 from Eggy's not much better.
like I said, you can't really complain too much when it's a discovery run. So
That's very true. What I will say though is these numbers will be inflated a little bit purely because, well, I say inflated, but because you do have to push. When you're against players of Wizzy and a Crow's caliber, they're not both going to crash very, very likely. So you need someone up there and thereabouts to put pressure on them. So they're probably pushing harder than they would normally if they were against a different opponent. So having high crash statistics sort of is what it is. It's going to happen.
for sure. I mean, do you think maybe it's jitters also for damp, or?
Yeah, definitely could be. As I said, these would be some of the players that probably haven't ever played a LAN event before, so it could maybe it's even a night out on the night before issue. Who knows? And by the way, we didn't notice at all. A Crow's missed a finish. What some casters we are. That's another draw.
I mean, you're all about nights out the day before, so I mean, I'm always impartial
Well,
to
the
a
Crows
night
did
out.
look wobbly, so.
And I know Akros does like a drink. I can testify that to Kavan Camry, as Wizzy does touch the outside. Again, it isn't more of the question of can Eggy and Matt T catch up. It's can they stay strong and keep this this form going as Matt T touches and Wizzy overtakes. I mean, the end just does seem like a huge choking
Another
point
mistake from
for the
Wizzy.
players.
Big mistake from Wizzy.
And now,
He's
will
in
Matt T
fourth
notice?
place.
Will Matt T notice and Eggy and also go safe? Or, because it's 4 seconds, I don't know how much the slow-mo loses you. But if I was playing, I do believe I would go to the slow-mo just to secure the points. As they both go to risky.
That's a PB
That's a
from a
PB.
Crows. That's a good time.
Yeah. At least online PB. We don't know if he's offline.
I think this safe finish is quite long. I think it is multiple seconds, if I've seen correctly. So it's a little bit risky for that. I think you also want to be seeing if you can snipe someone on the line, because at this point, because they lost that ace in the first round, if they do want to win this map, they need first places. As I said, you're not likely to get a Crows and Wizzy crashing in the same round massively. There've been a few mistakes from Wizzy, but there's one from a Crows as well. And they're still within touching distance of Wizzy, although speaking of touching, Matt did touch the wall. It's not a huge mistake, but he's got a bit of a speed loss, and he should be quite even with the Crows, although there's another mistake. And there's one from the Crows as well, though. That is meaning that it's still a 2-3 at the moment for Damp. Will Wizzy keep it on the track for the rest? He's going so tight there. He is risking like a madman. And there is really no need. He's got such an advantage to Eggy. It's like 0.5. And going into the finish here, he does make it, and Matt makes it. That's another draw. They're doing a lot better this map, I'll tell you that.
For sure. It feels like they've grown into it a bit more. I know, obviously, Matt T has crashed and touched a bunch. But I don't know, Eggy seems like he's warming up. He's almost getting more comfortable with the pace now, and it's just finishing strong, doing nothing too silly, too outrageous, and just playing consistent.
Yep, and looking at the crashing statistics, it does look like actually a Crows has crashed more than Wizzy, which isn't sort of how it was playing out in my mind, but it just sort of shows can't trust your mind. Maybe that's not what I should be saying. That's true.
For sure. I mean, Matt T 1.2 seconds behind Akros here. There's always, like we've seen in the previous rounds, there's always a chance to catch up in the finish, especially the risky. So you just need to get the speed check here. It is quite a difficult jump, as Wizzy has shown right there. And now Matt T and Eggy can just plod along to the finish and get another draw.
They can indeed. I think
Although
Rose touched a little bit as well. I think he didn't lose much speed on it, but I think coming out of the sort of risky middle section, I think he clipped slightly.
I mean, it's all well and good keep getting draws, but they're going to lose at this rate.
They are.
If they just keep getting draws, they're just not going to find a lead at all. So maybe they just really need to force end it, hope, because they can't just keep playing for touches anymore. As Eggy touches. But he isn't too far behind. Yeah. God, he must have the stream open.
To his detriment.
No, not at all. As Matty also touches, like you said earlier, these boys, as in Wizzy and Acros, are just not going to safe at all. Even if they see that they're up, they're always going to push, they're always going to risk. I think that's just how they are as players. I think it's also a good mindset too, because you never, let off the pace. You always show your class. As Wizzy touches, I think I need to stop looking. Yeah.
I think it depends on what type of player you are. They both, if Matt could have gone risky, then he had a chance to pass there. But that is a round win, and that's actually a map win there for Walls. But yeah, I mean, I do get what you're saying. There are some players that need to have that sort of flow state. So they need to be just playing, the same way, going for the same thing. And once they get into that state, they just keep it going. And there are other players that are able to turn it on and off. So they're able to save, they're able to take different lines. And if you're that kind of player, it's definitely better to save when you're ahead. But if you're the kind of player that needs that flow to keep going, then very much just keep risking it. I've seen multiple types of players like that in the past when doing, various bits and pieces of coaching. You see some players that if you tell them to save, they'll just hit a wall instantly. And it's a similar thing here, I think. So maybe they're just doing that because they have a feeling, they're pretty confident that they're going to win this match, so they're practicing faster rounds for later on in the tournament, which is potentially a good way to do it, to be honest, in match conditions.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, obviously, it's a step up from what I'm about to say, but let's say I'm playing ranked on Trackmania.
Oh, God.
And I know I'm ahead. I still won't safe. Safe is not a word in my dictionary. You always have to push because you always. I feel like if you safe, you're not in. For example, if you're in TA, you're always going for it. You're always pushing. Always, always, always. Why would you change that in rounds when you know you're winning? Because it might throw you off. Because you might take a separate line and then you're like, oh no, and then you're in a sticky situation. It's my view. Anyway, I could be completely wrong here.
Oh no. That is not the start we wanted to see from Damp there. Both crashing at the exact same part of the map, and they're over a second and a half behind at this stage. Oh, actually a little bit less than that. It's only a second, but Wizzy has made a mistake as well. But only a small one. But Crows has got quite a lead to everybody else. And now the outside dirt, will they all get through it? They will. There's still a pretty big gap between Eggy and Wizzy. I think they need one more mistake to be able to catch him. And it does look like this is going to be an ace to Walls. Unless something very kooky happens at the end. Oh, well, Eggy crashed. That's not quite what I was going for. Crows does look like he clipped. But it's not enough. And Wizzy will take the round with a relatively modest, I think it's fair to say, 101-2.
I'd say that's quite slow.
Yes.
You're being nice, but I'll rip the band-aid off. I mean, Wizzy's time here, 59.7, which I do believe is second world, just behind Epos's world record, obviously, of 59.741. I mean, I expect more from Wizzy on this map, if I can be completely honest.
I will say, Wizzy has come first in over half of the all-around so far, just to put things in perspective. We expect more from Wizzy, but only because Wizzy is one of the best players that we have. So...
yeah, of course. I mean, it's not looking like a bad round at this point in time. I mean, the outside could do anything like that. Now, like we said previously, there is an outside line where you get regripped there, as Finky showed in his world record. Eggy has crashed, face-palmed up hole. So I do believe this should be another round for Team Wolves,
mistake from
unless
Wizzy.
Wizzy touches. Although it looks like it's going to be a first and third for Team Wolves, as Eggy seems to be out.
Indeed. It's difficult because obviously Crows and Wizzy are the more established players, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
So we're asking them for Matt and Eggy to keep up with them so they can capitalize on any mistakes and not make mistakes, which is a really, really tough ask.
Of course. I mean, like I've said, I sound like a broken record player here, but all these players have gone through the same qualification to get here. So we're not saying that these players are bad at all. They're all spectacular in their own right. Just sometimes there is a level, and as Wizzy crashes, he's not really helping my case. But I mean,
keep seeing him crashing and then winning the round. I don't understand how he's doing it.
It's just Wizzy dings, isn't it? Really,
it's wizardry. That's what it is.
Leave.
Okay, so Jake's casting on his own from now on. But speaking of on his own, Crows is out front, and it looks like, especially with a small touch from Eggy, that's where he's going to end this round. Which is, oh no, mistake from Matt. That looks like it's another round win for Walls. And a very good time there. That's 1,000th off his known PB.
Yeah, that is a really solid time for Maggie. Matt T.
Not from our Crows, from our Crows.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said Maggie.
No.
Matt T, I think just the pressure might be getting to him, because I wouldn't assume that he was this crashy of a player. I don't think we are seeing the best of Matt T and what he can show us today.
No, I think that's definitely fair to say. It's a lot of things. It's a combination of everything. And I don't even think he's looked bad per se. I think it's just when you're trying to keep up with players like this, you need to put more into it, and you kind of get out what you do put into it. So it's, yeah, a couple of mistakes. There's another one. But even then, he's won some rounds. Eggy hasn't actually won a round, and Matt has, which is interesting.
Yeah,
but
I mean, just
Eggy's been a lot more consistent over the last few maps.
Yeah,
and this actually is the end of the match. That's GG.
Wow.
Congratulations to Walls.
That's flown by so fast. Obviously, commiserations to Damp. I would say that they did put up a good fight, like, regardless of the scoreline. It's just, it was always an uphill battle, to put it nicely. I mean, do I believe that they could go through the lower bracket? Sure. Anything can happen, like I said. I do wish them the best of luck going forward.
Yeah, I mean, who are they going to be playing? They're going to be playing Split, which is Kozza and Killian. Oh, that'll be a good one.
Yeah, I know Kozza and Eggy are really good friends. In real life, I do believe they're staying at the same place as well. So maybe some words will be exchanged tonight. I do
feel bad for Split, though, to be honest, because Split came through as the number 2 seed, which got them against Moonveil, which is Epos and Divino.
Yeah.
Which seems a little unfair, if I'm being totally honest. But yeah, I think they will have a very good chance against Eggy and Matt.
I think it'll be a really, really, really good game. I think that'll actually be one to watch.
Yeah, and I think coming out of this, I think every match in the upper bracket was a 3-0. Although, admittedly, we had some close maps in the first match. There were definitely some close maps. There was a 10-9, I think, and a few others, 10-7. In this one, there was a non-zero chance for Damp to take them at the middle map, the second map. There was if there was a couple less mistakes, they could have got at least one extra, maybe even 2 aces, because they were getting a lot of draws from second and third. and maybe not capitalizing on mistakes, maybe making a few mistakes which were just 1 second mistakes rather than the 4 or 5 that one of the Wolves players was making. So it wasn't a complete whitewash, as some people might have thought, but it was still a good game to watch.
Of course. And obviously, we will be back. Well, not me and Yata, obviously, but the stream will be back tomorrow to stream the games, the lower bracket and upper bracket, I believe. So,
well, I mean, we're not done for the day yet. There are many more matches today. We're going on until the last one starts at 5. Yeah.
Oh.
So
clueless.
So just to take over from my clueless friend, we have the 2 lower bracket matches, one of them starting at 2 p.m. and one of them starting at 3. So the match containing Damp and Split will be happening at 3. But coming up now as the next match will be Retirement Home and Good Focus. So the 2 losers in the context of the tournament, not in general necessarily, from the first round of matches. So Retirement Home and Good Focus. And I believe that will be on stream 1. So I'm sure we will link to that as we head off. But thank you all very much for watching. And thanks, Jake, for casting alongside me.
Of course, it's always a pleasure.
And thank you, Lorelei, for producing. Thanks, Lorelei.